either.
I want to add to this question. By the way, it's what about the feeling? You said you talked to Palestinians, the Arabs over there, who have been under occupation for over 50 years. What is their feelings towards? I'm not going to say towards the Israelis or the Jews. What is their feelings toward the U.S. government?
Well, many of them, a variety of feelings, puzzlement, particularly among the, if you want to talk to really bitter people in the West Bank, talking to the Palestinian Christians is a very useful thing to do because they are some of the bitterest voices. They would say to me, "Well, you're a Christian nation. How come you?"
Well, that is a commercial again. Okay. We apologize for this. Looks like somebody is picking on my show on Monday nights. Every time I run this show, there is a bug somewhere. So we apologize again. We hope we can fix this.
But also, I think it's quite clear that there are many people, and particularly during the first Bush, this recent President Bush, the first Bush administration, many people close to the Defense Department and particularly the Defense Department and the Vice President who are very much attached to the Likud party in Israel. So you have a lot of traffic during that first administration, and there's some speculation that actually Condoleezza Rice has come in and tried to move some of those more extreme elements out of the administration for a more pragmatic kind of dealing with this area of the world. It may be too late for that.
Dr. Gordon, how do you balance on one side we have F-16s, jets made in USA. We give the Israelis a lot of military on one side. We give them at least $5 billion as of a prize. We are the taxpayers. And at the same time here, you see the Palestinians, they throw rocks, and they didn't have really an organized military. So this is an organized military. It's a country, it's a state versus boys and kids who make their own actually weapons.
And you have some light arms also from the Oslo period.
But how do you see the equality when it comes to...
Well, there isn't any militarily, and that is why there have been some Palestinian intellectuals from early on in the Intifada who did question any kind of use of military strategy on the part of the Palestinians because of that imbalance. However, it's important to remark and to note that it was Israel that militarized the Intifada because there were Palestinian youths who were throwing stones at the Haram al-Sharif in Jerusalem after Sharon's march, and they were met with rubber bullets and a very harsh military response, as were Palestinians inside Israel. So I think that the militarization really started with Israel.
Are we serious about peace, the U.S.?
Oh, no,
Are we really serious? No, seriously, are we really serious?
No, I don't think.
Why not?
I don't think that's what major powers are about.
Why not?
Because I think.
I mean, we are paying a lot of money as taxpayers.
I couldn't agree. Well, I think that what we are seeing.
Lives, American lives.
I agree. And what we're seeing, and we see this particularly, Britain is a classic example of that. You have to remember that the British did not want to enter Iraq, the British people, and Tony Blair went in anyway. That was not true with the American public.
Well, the difference between the American public and the British is the media in this country. I mean, the media has a tremendous power where it can it can change people's opinion overnight with few sad stories and people bleeding to death.
I think the media has been woeful during this administration and since 9/11. The good news is that none of us are bound by the major television networks or the 24-hour news. The internet certainly has changed a lot. It's changed a lot for the Palestinians because it gives them a venue for getting their perspective out into the public. I mean, no one has to be just tied to the television set. There is a lot of alternative media, and the internet has made it possible for none of us to be prisoner to whatever local perspectives we're given in news. We don't have to be victims to that.
What about Bin Laden? I mean, Bin Laden. If you watch his tapes and listen to his words, every time there is something has to do with Palestine or Palestinians or the occupation or something has to do with the way Palestinians are treated. I mean, he has always linked, mainly in the beginning of his tapes, that the 9/11 event. One of the reasons is because of the occupation.
Although I think that's been much further down his list than the American occupation of Saudi Arabia, as well as, the American occupation of Muslim lands by having military bases. The Palestinian issue is there. I think that what was very interesting about bin Laden when we last heard from him was to see him repositioning himself as a kind of Arab politician. The last time he spoke, in fact, I think he did talk about the Palestinian situation and about Iraq, in which he appealed to the American people and said...
Even as Zawahiri, is the same way.
So I think this is a very interesting phenomenon.